My name is John Mon. This is the CS2 SMGs Tier List. Right here today, I'm going to take these, I'm going to put them in order of their killing potential. Essentially, we got some guns in CS2 that need to get rounded up, and they don't know where to go. No one knows what to use, and I'm going to tell you. You're basically going to call these guns in the SS tier right here the go-tos. This is the go-to gun. You'll use these. You'll put these on your loadout. S tier, you'll consider putting them on your loadout, but some people will not use them, and they're just good. They're all right. A tier, it's like S tier, but if you didn't consider the S tier guns, you won't consider the A tier guns. They're just a little bit less good. And inferior, no one's using this thing because it just can't get kills for whatever reason. It just won't. Try, it doesn't work. It's a broken gun. That's what belongs down there in inferior. So let's get this started. Right here, we're going to work with the MP5. This thing is good and it's silenced. But it's just all right. There's a lot better silenced options than this. So right here, it's a good gun. I mean, it's got baseline damage, 27, that's the average. A bit stronger armor penetration than the rest. It's got 62. And then you got a good fire rate of 750. What more could you ask for? This is like a versatile SMG. You could run and gun with it. It's got a decent running accuracy. And it has a good accurate range, so that'll help you out running and gunning. Be able to do a lot more damage with this thing. But that's about as far as it goes. It's just an SMG. You'll run, you'll gun, and that's it. You can get a headshot and it might get them in two as long as you're close enough. It has a 66 headshot damage at the base, so you should get two-shot headshots most of the time, but the further you go, uh, it'll do a little bit less. A silencer, the gun's longer, but it doesn't shoot farther. It's not how it works. This thing is all right. It does the job, though. It certainly does the job. There's really not much bad to say about this other than it doesn't have anything special about it. It's just a gun. It does have one thing special. It has the silencer, but you can't really the silencer can't even come off one, and you don't get any benefits from it except it sounds different. It's not even silent. Like silenced barely describes that tool right there. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Let that simmer. Next, let's take a look at the P90. This gun. This is the one. This is the handler. This gun right here is a lot of people's go-to gun. This is the gun that people use the entire competitive match. This is what people earn money to buy. Some people don't use rifles. You may forget that while you're playing CS2 and you're getting one tapped and opt all day. You may forget that some people only use the P90. Every now and then, though, you'll get reminded. That guy with the P90 will join your lobby and he'll get 40 kills. He doesn't have any friends, but he's doing good. He's getting by. This thing, it's got stats, man. This thing has stats. Highest armor penetration of 69, so you close enough? Good, because it'll go right through the armor, basically. A damage of 25, so 4 shots to the chest. Boom. Good. 857 rounds per minute. That's just about the highest, only matched by the MP9, which is also a crazy gun, but you're talking about shooting wicked fast compared to the AK, which is a low 600 fire rate. This thing is time and a half that. This thing will melt people. The P90 is known for being an easy to use, decently cheap gun. This thing is so easy to use. In fact, for many reasons. One, it has the easiest recoil pattern. I mean, it doesn't even have recoil almost. It just goes up a little bit and then you're good. Two has insane running accuracy. It's almost dead on accurate while running, which is crazy. You can't do that with rifles. And a lot of these SMGs, they're okay at it, but this thing is better than the rest. And it has 50 bullets. Are you kidding me? You'll never not kill somebody when they're in front of you and you have the P90. As long as they don't have some good firepower to back themselves up, you will always kill somebody with this gun. This is a very new player friendly gun. You'll see a lot of times someone first starts the game, they're playing with a more skilled friend or they jump into a competitive game, whatever. A lot of times people will just say to the new guy, hey, don't buy anything else but the P90. Just buy the P90. Use the P90 or some sort of SMG, but use the P90. There's a reason for it because it's the best. Next, we got the UMP. The UMP 45. This thing stands above, and I'll tell you why. There's a few SMGs in its category. You've got the MP5, then you've got the UMP and the MP7. These three guns are like the mid fire rate, decent damage, longer range SMGs, more leaning towards rifles, basically. You still run and gun with it, and like I said, with the MP7, it gets the job done, but the UMP, it's just a little better, and there's one reason why. It's cheaper. It's only 1,200. Now the damage is a lot higher, but the range doesn't really complement that. It's only got a 10-meter accurate range, which is average, but it's nothing crazy. But the damage is very high, so you would want it to be a little bit better, but it doesn't have to be. Good armor penetration, you know, decent rate of fire. It's all right. It's the lowest. It's 571. They say it's 60, but 600, but they measure it out and it's 571, and that's lower than the AK. That's fine because this thing costs less than half what the AK cost. So to get even that close to the AK's power and potential for half the price, uh, why wouldn't you? What other setbacks are on this if this is just a half price AK with a little bit less fire rate? It doesn't have the same range, like I said. So you can't really do one shot headshots from any good range, but it almost can. To an armored opponent's head at the accurate within their accurate range, it does 90 damage. So, you know, in the head, this thing's like a good M4A4 and it's only 1200. It's all right. Running accuracy is a little bit better though than a rifle, so you can run and shoot with this. It's basically you're a rifle player, you're the rifleman. You don't like running and gunning, you don't like shotguns. You just wanted something that's cheaper that does somewhat what you're used to doing. Popping out, taking a shot, getting back to cover, taking a couple more shots, something like that. This is that SMG, and it's cheap. So it works out and it's cheap. That's why it's a little bit higher than the MP7 and the MP5. Oh, did I just say where I'm going to put the MP7? Whatever, it's no surprise. This thing pretty much is the UMP, except it does a little bit less damage and it shoots a good amount faster. It's also like just like the MP5. It's on the same level. All the only difference about the MP7 and the MP5, which I don't understand, because the MP7 costs a lot more than the MP5, but it doesn't have a silencer. I don't understand all that. But it costs more and it doesn't have a silencer. It shoots the same speed as the MP5. They both have a 750 round per minute fire rate. They both have 29 base damage. Actually, the MP5 is a little bit weaker. But that's fine because it's the range that matters, and you get that back on the MP5, where the MP5 has a 15-meter range, only 14-meter range for the MP7. So you're basically getting like three apples. You got your Granny Smith, your sweet, and your red delicious, whatever they're called, your gala apples, and that's your three right here. You got your UMP, your MP5, and your MP7. They're the same freaking thing. just about. Except UMP is better because it's cheaper. Doesn't matter that it shoots slower. These guns shoot faster. It does more damage and it's cheaper. That's all that matters in this game. You only need one shot to win. There's not much more you can say about the MP7 other than it's too much money. You can I wouldn't call it inferior because of the price, but man, sometimes I want to think about that. It used to be 1,700, now it's 1,500. So it is the same price as the MP5 nowadays, but it used to be more, man. And for that reason, it's just equal with the MP5. It couldn't be better. And you know what? I do have the MP5 higher here on the tier. So next we got the PP Bison. This gun is fun, man. This gun is fun. What can you do with the PP Bison that you can't do with other guns? You can spray it down at an angle, at a corridor, at a door, and have suppressive fire coming down. Maybe you can do this with the Negev. You might have tried with the M249 and found out it doesn't shoot straight. The PP Bison, it is an SMG that provides suppressive fire, and for that reason, it is. No, I'm just kidding, guys. This thing is fine. This thing is fine. It's nothing crazy. It has 60 bullets. It has a pretty alright fire rate. It's the same. It's 750. You know, just take a little bit of damage and range from the MP5. Take off the silencer. Add 60 bullets. And that's what you've got. Is pretty much the stats line up to call it the MP5 with more ammo. Same damage. The range is, like I said, less at 10 meters as opposed to the MP5's 15, but you got a lot more ammo, so hopefully the damage you're losing after the damage drop off, you're making up for with the plentiful amount of bullets that you're laying down on that opponent. It's good at running and gunning, just like the rest. In fact, it might be better because you can run for longer and still be shooting. But other than that, it doesn't stack up to the UMP because of its damage being so low and its range being lower. And the P90, I mean, how are you going to shoot slower than the P90 and have more ammo but do less damage? You're just an inferior P90. Next, I'm gonna have to deal with this guy right here, the Mac 10. Oh, people are gonna hate me for this. People are gonna hate me for this. But this thing can't go any higher than the A tier, man. This thing can't go any higher than the top, admittedly, but only A tier. I like the Mac 10. I'd like to put it in SS tier, but you can't. A lot of people like the Mac 10, in fact, and that's why I can tell people are going to be very, very upset. It's got a great damage of 29, which is pretty strong for the SMGs. It's it's pretty strong. I mean, what are you going to say? It's got a high fire rate of 800, not nearly as fast as the P90, but it's still just as fast. The P90 just is crazy. That thing is just crazy. 850 rounds per minute, 800. That's a big difference. It does. Those small numbers make huge differences. That's a whole extra bullet per second on the P90. Okay, that's different. The range is all right at 11. Good reload speed. Magazine 30. The standard. But what's going on with this gun that makes it better than the rest of the SMGs in A8 tier? Well, I'll tell you. It's that it's it's that it's that goddamn, man, that price. You can't name a factor that makes me more excited than being cheap. This thing is the cheapest of SMGs. Well, that works out because all these guns really only have the use case of being used when you can't afford a stronger one. So if you can't afford a stronger SMG, why not use the cheapest? It boasts just about the same stats as the rest. Granted, the armor penetration is the lowest at 57, but hopefully, hopefully you buy this on your second T round after a loss. Maybe after a win if you just want to pummel them, because this thing really hurts unarmored opponents. But After a loss, CTs may or may not have armor on two or three of the players, so you buy this and you can really just shred them and punish them for that at that high fire rate. And good, rightfully so. That's what it can do. But after that, man, it falls flat. Unlike the UMP, you can't just buy this thing and like expect to do things that you're used to doing and earn kills with them. You can't really just peek around the corner and shoot the head and get kills with them. You got to run and gun one, and that's something that some people like to do all the time. Some people don't like to do all the time. You got to run and gun with this thing though. You can't stand still and shoot the Mac 10. There's no point. It has a perfect running accuracy, so you might as well be moving. But other than that, man, you're losing a lot by having this thing in your hands, especially if the other team has rifles or any better SMGs. This will lose you the case. But it is very cheap. It is very cheap. So when it comes to cheap SMGs, I would tend to choose this one. But I still don't want to choose it that much. Now. The Mac 10 is the cheapest TSMG, but the cheapest CT SMG, I don't think it shares the same fate of just being mediocre. I think a lot of us know this MP9 right here. It's the gun, man. It's the gun. I can't say it's better than the P90, but it is S tier, man. A lot of people choose this thing, and rightfully so. I mean, it has the craziest range of all the SMGs of 16 meters being accurate. It has a wildly low reload speed of 2. Like I said, I think I just said it's cheap. It's the cheapest. It's not as cheap as the Mac 10, but nothing on CT side is cheaper than its T counterpart. It's 1250. It's a little bit more than the UMP. So, okay, it's not the cheapest you can buy, but $50 more, okay, it'll be worth it. Trust me, especially if you do want to change up the playstyle, because this thing, for what it does, is crazy. This is the run and gun dream gun, man. You don't even need the P90. You don't need it unless you want some more ammo. You don't need the P90. The P90 has a safer recoil pattern with a really minimal effect, but this thing, it shoots about straight up. Like, it's a pretty powerful recoil pattern. Other than going upwards, it doesn't go in any crazy left and right direction, so it's pretty easy to manage. And after that, you got the highest fire rate on a very, very strong SMG that can shoot pretty good range. Just go play some games, man. You're gonna see this thing getting used. This is the choice gun for people on CT side. Just trying to bust in and get a few quick kills on some unsuspecting terrorists who are maybe planning to throw their smokes and setting up or something in the B tunnels. You run in with this thing, 2 headshots instantly, man. Faster than an AK can put out 2 bullets. You'll kill them. And that's crazy. With this thing, you can kill AK players just by running and gunning. It's madness, man. It stacks up that way, and I wouldn't call it better than the P90, but it is the top tier, man. It definitely is. Better than all the others. I think that's all about I have to say about this list. Quick overview. I can solidify, yeah. Like I just said it. MP9 stays up here. It can't go lower. The P90 definitely too. I can't bring the UMP up here just because of how you know the MP9 and the P90 will kill guys with AKs, but the UMP will have a hard time doing so. But it still will. But these two they just will. They won't have a hard time. This will. And these three will will struggle just that much more that I can't even consider using them over the UMP. But yeah, the MP7 is definitely the worst SMG just because of its cost. If you brought that thing down to 1200, I might even put that in S tier. With that extra 300, it is pointless to spend, especially because it's doing less damage. PP Bison, it is what it is, man. I I always want to use the PP Bison and hope it does good, but I never get a kill with it, so I'm sick of it, man. MP5, it is the UMP, but not as good. Mac 10, That's the only one I would consider moving down there. Up a tier, but man, it's so weak. And that armor penetration is just not helping you in any situation besides that second round after a loss. So gotta keep it down there. And nothing is inferior here. None of these guns are broken. None of them are not doing their job. Luckily, all the SMGs in Counter Strike do their job, and some very well. So this is my tier list, guys. Definitely look out for some more in the future. We're gonna be doing a lot of content coming this winter, going into the first winter of CS2. Season 1 is going on, apparently, and I still don't think anyone knows what that means, but you know, we're here at the start. We're doing it, putting out content, man. If you want to see that stuff, subscribe.